I always thought my 30th birthday would be different. Maybe a surprise party, a romantic getaway, or at least a cake that wasn't passive-aggressively decorated with "Happy Birthday to our special daughter-in-law" in Linda's perfect cursive handwriting. I'm Lucy, and this is the story of how I burned my life to the ground and smiled while I watched it happen. "Open it, dear. Jason and I picked it out specially for you," Linda chirped, her perfectly manicured hands clasped together in anticipation. The wrapped package sat heavy in my lap, mocking me with its pristine pink bow. I could feel Jason's eyes on me, that familiar half-smirk playing on his lips, the same look he'd given me last week when I discovered he'd borrowed another $5,000 from our savings for his latest business venture. "Come on, babe. Mom spent ages choosing this," he urged, already reaching for his phone, probably texting that Zoe woman again about their revolutionary startup idea. I peeled back the paper, my stomach already knotting. Inside was a glossy brochure and enrollment papers for something called The Modern Homemaker's Journey, Becoming the Wife He Deserves. "It's a 12-week course," Linda beamed. "They teach everything: cooking, cleaning, household budgeting, even how to properly support your husband's ambitions." She leaned forward, lowering her voice. "Heaven knows you could use some guidance in that department." The room went quiet. Even the ceiling fan seemed to hold its breath. "Wow," I managed, my voice eerily calm. "This is something." "Mom's right, Lucy," Jason chimed in, not looking up from his phone. "You've been so distant lately. Maybe this could help us get back on track." I thought about the double shifts I'd been pulling at work to cover his failed cryptocurrency investment, about the promotion I'd turned down because he needed me to be more present during his juice bar phase, about the dreams I'd packed away, one by one, like Christmas ornaments you know you'll never use again. "Thank you, Linda. This is very thoughtful." The words tasted like acid. "Oh, sweetie." She reached over to pat my hand. "We just want what's best for you. You know that, right?" I nodded, forcing a smile that felt like it might crack my face. Later that night, after Jason had fallen asleep, still clutching his phone, I sat in our home office, staring at my laptop screen. The law school application form glowed back at me, cursor blinking in the personal statement field. My phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. "How was the birthday dinner? Did mother-in-law behave?" I glanced at the homemaker course brochure, now stuffed in the bottom drawer under old tax returns, then at the framed photo on my desk. Jason and me on our wedding day, 5 years ago. I looked so hopeful then, so sure we'd build something beautiful together. "Perfect," I typed back to Vanessa. Everything was perfect. Opening a new document, I began to write my law school application essay. The words flowed easily now, fueled by something darker than ambition. "Hey!" Jason's voice made me jump. He stood in the doorway, hair mussed from sleep. "Coming to bed?" "Just finishing up some work emails," I lied, switching tabs. "Be there in a minute." He yawned, already turning away. "Don't stay up too late. Mom's coming over tomorrow to help you register for that course." I waited until his footsteps faded before opening the application again. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a moment before I started typing. "My desire to pursue law stems from a deep-seated belief in justice." 3 years. That's how long it would take to complete law school part-time. 3 years of secrets, sacrifice, and silent preparation. 3 years to transform myself from the disappointing daughter-in-law into something they'd never see coming. I finished the application at 2 a.m., my hands steady as I clicked submit. Then I went to our bedroom, slipped under the covers beside my oblivious husband, and smiled in the darkness. They wanted a better wife? I'd become their worst nightmare instead. The next morning, I'd act surprised when Linda showed up with her calendar and her suggestions. I'd nod and smile and take notes about proper table settings and the importance of having dinner ready when your husband comes home. But, in my mind, I was already counting down the days until I could serve them something much more satisfying than a home-cooked meal. Revenge, I was learning, is a dish best prepared with patience, and I had all the time in the world. 6 months into law school, and I'd mastered the art of invisibility in my own home. Every night was a carefully choreographed dance of lies and half-truths. Another late meeting? Jason barely looked up from his laptop as I slipped through the front door at 10 p.m., my textbooks hidden in my gym bag. You know how it is during tax season. I kissed his cheek, the gesture as hollow as our joint bank account. Have you eaten? Mom brought lasagna. He gestured toward the kitchen. She's worried about you, by the way. Says you never returned her calls about the homemaker course. I busied myself with putting away my coat. Must have slipped my mind. Work's been crazy. That's all you say lately. Work, work, work. He finally looked at me, frowning. You're different, Lucy. Distant. What Mom thinks isn't always gospel, Jason. The words came out sharper than intended. His face darkened. At least she makes an effort. When's the last time you even cooked dinner? I bit back the response I wanted to give, about his latest failed venture, eating through our savings, about the credit card bills I'd discovered hidden in his desk drawer. Instead, I smiled tiredly. You're right. I'll do better. The next morning, Vanessa cornered me at our usual coffee spot. You look like hell, she said, sliding into the booth. How long can you keep this up? As long as it takes. I wrapped my hands around my coffee cup, savoring its warmth. I aced my contract's midterm yesterday. While your marriage is failing? She leaned forward, lowering her voice. Lucy, this isn't healthy. The secrecy, the revenge planning. You're not yourself anymore. Maybe I'm finally becoming myself, I countered. Before she could respond, my phone buzzed, Linda's name flashing on the screen. I declined the call. That's the 3rd time this morning, I explained to Vanessa's raised eyebrow. She's probably calling about the course again. Or maybe she's genuinely concerned about you. I laughed, the sound bitter even to my own ears. You don't know her like I do. That evening, I came home to voices in the kitchen. I froze in the hallway, my heart pounding. Just not the same anymore. Linda's voice drifted out. She's neglecting her duties as a wife, Jason. I warned you about career women. I know, Mom. Jason sighed. But what can I do? She won't listen. Well, she's certainly not supporting your dreams. That new business opportunity you mentioned. The crypto trading platform? I haven't told her yet, after what happened with the juice bar. Darling, that's exactly the problem. A proper wife should stand behind her husband's ambitions. Instead, she's becoming cold, calculating. I stood there, my law books heavy in my bag, listening to them dissect my failures as a wife. Each word strengthened my resolve. Later that week, I met with Professor Clark during her office hours. Your analysis of the Harrison case was exceptional, she said, studying me over her reading glasses. You have a natural talent for this. Thank you. I hesitated, then added, Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing the right thing. She set down my paper. Law school is demanding. It's natural to have doubts. It's not just school. The words tumbled out before I could stop them. My husband doesn't know I'm here. His mother, they think I'm taking homemaker courses. Instead of judgment, I saw understanding in her eyes. You know, Lucy, the law isn't just about justice. It's about power, about having the tools to protect yourself. Is that what I'm doing? Protecting myself? Only you can answer that. She handed me back my paper. But whatever you're preparing for, make sure you're ready for the consequences. That night, I found Jason in his home office, surrounded by paperwork. Hey, I said softly. Everything okay? Just some investment stuff. He quickly shuffled the papers away. Nothing for you to worry about. I noticed a business card on his desk. Zoe Holmes, financial consultant, before he covered it with other documents. You'd tell me if something was wrong, right? I asked, already knowing the answer. Of course, babe. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Hey, Mom's coming for dinner tomorrow. She wants to discuss something important. I nodded, retreating to our bedroom where my latest legal textbook lay hidden under the mattress. As I pulled it out, a new email notification popped up on my phone. My midterm grades. All A's. Somewhere in the house, I heard Jason on the phone, his voice low and urgent, talking about numbers and deadlines. I opened my textbook to the chapter on family law and started reading. The time for being invisible was coming to an end. The first red flag was the second mortgage. I found the paperwork stuffed behind the printer while searching for a stapler. The second was the lipstick-stained coffee cup in Jason's car. Coral pink, definitely not my shade. But the smoking gun arrived in an unmarked envelope on my desk at work. You might want to see this, the note read, followed by bank statements showing massive transfers to an account I'd never seen before. The signature at the bottom simply read, B. Had to be Bennett, Jason's father, finally showing his hand. I was still staring at the papers when my phone buzzed with Linda's latest text. Darling, we need to discuss Jason's new business venture. He needs our support more than ever, our support, as if she'd ever contributed anything beyond criticism and manipulation. That evening, I arrived home to find Linda already there, perched on our sofa like a vulture in designer clothes. Lucy, dear. She patted the seat beside her. We've been waiting for you. Jason paced near the window, that familiar, excited gleam in his eyes that always preceded financial disaster. Babe, you're not going to believe this opportunity, he started. Zoe and I have been working on something revolutionary. Zoe, I interrupted, watching his face carefully. Your new business partner? Linda jumped in smoothly. Such a lovely girl, so supportive of Jason's vision. Unlike, I prompted, my voice dangerously quiet. Well, dear. Linda's smile turned brittle. Let's be honest. Your attitude lately hasn't been very helpful. Jason needs a wife who understands his potential. His potential to what? Drain our savings again? Jason's face darkened. That's not fair. The juice bar would have worked if... If what? If I'd been more supportive? If I'd smiled prettier while we hemorrhaged money? Lucy, Linda gasped. This negativity is exactly what I'm talking about. A good wife. Would what, Linda? Keep quiet? Look the other way? I pulled out the bank statements. Like looking the other way about this? The color drained from Jason's face. Where did you get those? Does it matter? Want to explain why there's a second mortgage on our house that I never signed for? Or should we discuss the mysterious transfers to... I checked the papers. ZH Enterprises? Linda stood up, smoothing her skirt. I can see you're being hysterical. Jason, darling, perhaps we should discuss this another time. No. I blocked her path to the door. We're discussing it now. All of it. You're neglecting him, Linda hissed. What choice does he have but to seek support elsewhere? Support? Is that what we're calling it? Jason stepped between us. It's not what you think. Zoe's just helping me set up the business structure. While wearing coral lipstick, the silence was deafening. Linda recovered first. Now you're being paranoid. This is exactly why I told Jason you needed help. That homemaker course would have taught you how to be more trusting, more supportive. I laughed, the sound harsh and unfamiliar. Trusting? Like you trusted Bennett before he gambled away your retirement? Linda's face went white. How dare you? How dare I what? Tell the truth? The next day, I met Professor Clark in her office, the bank statements spread between us. This is serious, Lucy, she said, examining the documents. If he forged your signature... He did. I'm sure of it. She leaned back, studying me. You're gathering evidence. Wouldn't you? The question is, what do you plan to do with it? Before I could answer, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. We should talk. Coffee? Zoe. Professor Clark caught my expression. Something wrong? No, I said slowly. Something's finally right. That evening, I sat in a quiet cafe, watching Zoe Holmes approach my table. She was younger than I expected, nervous-looking, despite her professional outfit. Thank you for meeting me, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. I think we need to talk about Jason. About Jason or about ZH Enterprises? She flinched. Both. There's something you should know. As she talked, pieces started falling into place. Jason's late nights, the missing money, the way Linda had been pushing for me to be more understanding. Later, I called Vanessa. You were right, I told her voicemail. I'm not myself anymore. I'm better. When I got home, Jason and Linda were waiting again. This time, Linda held the homemaker course brochure like a weapon. We've enrolled you, she announced. It's for your own good. I looked at Jason, at his guilty face and defensive posture, and felt something inside me harden into diamond. Thank you, I said pleasantly. But I've already enrolled in something else. What do you mean? Jason asked. I smiled, thinking of the evidence mounting in my secret email account, of Zoe's revelations, of Professor Clark's knowing look. You'll find out soon enough. The day Linda moved in, temporarily, was the day my evidence folder became my most prized possession. Every receipt, every bank statement, every suspicious email, all meticulously catalogued and backed up in triplicate. It's just until Jason's new venture takes off, Linda announced, wheeling her designer suitcases into our guest room. Someone needs to keep this household running properly. I bit my tongue and texted Vanessa. She's here. Send wine. The whole bottle, she replied. The whole store. That evening, I found Linda reorganizing my kitchen cabinets. Honestly, Lucy, how does Jason survive with this chaos? He manages. I watched her shuffle my carefully arranged spices. How long is temporary? Why? She turned, eyes narrowing. Eager to get rid of me? Just curious about the timeline, like Jason's timeline for paying back our savings. The spice jar in her hand trembled slightly. A good wife doesn't question her husband's business decisions. No, I agreed. She documents them instead. Before Linda could respond, Jason burst through the front door, face flushed with excitement. Ladies! Great news! Zoe's secured another investor. That's wonderful, darling. Linda rushed to hug him. See, Lucy, this is what happens when you surround yourself with supportive people. I thought about the USB drive hidden in my tampon box, filled with screenshots of Jason's business communications with Zoe. How much is this investor contributing? Jason's smile faltered. Well, they want to see some commitment from existing stakeholders first. Meaning? We need to put in another 50,000. He reached for my hand. Just temporarily, babe. The returns will be incredible. I pulled away. There's nothing left to put in, Jason. You've drained everything. Not everything. His eyes shifted guiltily. Your inheritance from your dad. The room went silent. Even Linda looked uncomfortable. My father's life insurance? My voice was barely a whisper. The money I set aside for grad school? Lucy, Linda interjected, sometimes we must sacrifice for those we love. Something snapped. Like you sacrificed for Bennett before he ran off with his secretary? Linda recoiled as if slapped. Jason stepped between us. Don't talk to my mother like that, he shouted. She's only trying to help. Help what? Help you steal my inheritance? Help destroy what's left of our marriage? What's wrong with you lately? He grabbed my arm. You've changed. You're not the woman I married. Let go of me. Not until you explain. I said, let go. I wrenched away just as Vanessa walked in, wine bottle in hand. She froze in the doorway, taking in the scene. Everything okay here? Fine, Jason snapped. Family discussion. Really? Vanessa's eyes locked on my arm, where Jason's grip had left red marks. Looks more like assault to me. Linda gasped. How dare you? Jason would never. I saw what I saw. Vanessa pulled out her phone. Want me to call someone? That won't be necessary, I said quietly. Jason was just leaving, weren't you? He stormed out, Linda hurrying after him. Once they were gone, Vanessa turned to me. Lucy, this has gone too far. You need to tell him about law school. Not yet. I rubbed my arm. I need more time. For what? More evidence? More abuse? You don't understand. No, you don't understand. She slammed the wine bottle down. This isn't just about revenge anymore. You're in danger. Later that night, I sat in my home office, scanning documents. A shadow fell across my desk. Working late again? Linda's voice dripped with false concern. Just catching up on some things. She moved closer, peering at my screen. I quickly minimized the windows. You know, she said softly, I've noticed you're on your computer a lot these days. Always so secretive. Like mother, like son. Her perfectly painted smile tightened. I'm watching you, Lucy. Whatever you're planning. Good night, Linda. After she left, I pulled out the file I'd discovered earlier that day, a folder of forged documents with my signature on them, hidden in Jason's desk, each one a nail in his coffin. My phone buzzed with a text from Professor Clark. Documents received. Meet tomorrow? Yes, I typed back, and bring the forms we discussed. Another text came through, this time from Zoe. He's asking for more money. What should I do? Keep records of everything, I replied. And Zoe? Thank you. I heard Jason and Linda's voices drifting up from the kitchen, discussing my attitude problem and the need for intervention. Let them plot. Let them scheme. They had no idea what was coming. I opened my law textbook to the section on financial fraud and started taking notes. Some lessons weren't taught in homemaker courses. I never expected Linda to cry in my kitchen at 3 a.m., mascara running down her perfectly maintained facade. "Please, Lucy," she whispered, clutching my hand across the counter. "Jason's in trouble. Real trouble. He needs $40,000 by Friday." "What happened to the investor?" I kept my voice neutral, though I already knew the answer from Zoe's detailed reports. "There was never—" Linda dabbed at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. "The platform, it wasn't quite what they claimed." "You mean it was a scam?" "No!" She straightened defensively. "Just complicated. But if we don't get the money, people will start asking questions." I sipped my tea, letting the silence stretch. "What kind of questions, Linda?" "Legal questions." Her voice cracked. "Please, I know we've had our differences, but he's my son." "And I'm just the wife who's supposed to clean up his messes?" "Your family," she pleaded. "Family protects each other, like you protected me, with your constant criticism, your little digs about my inadequacy as a wife." She flinched. "I only wanted to help? Is that why you moved in? To help Jason hide his affair with Zoe?" Linda's face went white. "How did you—" "No. I know everything, Linda. The forged signatures, the embezzled investor funds, the secret account in the Caymans." "You've been spying on us?" Her shock turned to anger. "How dare you? No, how dare you?" I stood up. "You raised him to believe he was entitled to everything. My money, my dignity, my future. Well, guess what? I've been building my own future." A noise from the doorway made us both turn. Jason stood there, looking haunted. "What's going on?" he demanded. "Your mother was just explaining your latest financial disaster." I smiled coldly. "Want to tell him about the crying, Linda? Or should I?" "Jason, darling." Linda started, but he cut her off. "You told her? After you promised—" "She knows everything," I interrupted. "About Zoe, the fraud, all of it." He advanced into the kitchen, face dark with rage. "You've been investigating me." "Someone had to. I'm your husband." "And I'm a lawyer." The words dropped like bombs in the silent kitchen. Linda gasped. Jason froze. "What did you say?" "You heard me." I pulled out my bar exam results from my robe pocket. "Passed last week. Professor Clark says I have a natural talent for corporate law and fraud detection." "Professor? You've been in law school?" Jason's voice rose hysterically. "All this time?" 3 years. I smiled. "About as long as you've been stealing from me." Linda found her voice. "This is why you've been so distant, so cold. You've been plotting against us, planning my escape," I corrected. "There's a difference." "I'll destroy you," Jason snarled. "You think you can threaten me? You'll what?" I pulled out my phone. "Call Zoe. She's been working with me for months. Those business meetings were her documenting everything." The blood drained from his face. "You're lying." "Check your phone. She sent you a resignation letter 10 minutes ago." He grabbed his phone, hands shaking as he read. "This isn't—" "You can't—" "I can. I did." I turned to Linda. "Still want to discuss family loyalty?" She slumped against the counter, looking suddenly old. "What do you want?" "Want. I want what's mine. My money, my freedom, my life back." I headed for the door. "You have until Friday to transfer everything back. After that, I go to the authorities." "You wouldn't," Linda whispered. "It would ruin him." "Like you tried to ruin me?" I paused in the doorway. "By the way, I never did sign up for that homemaker course. Was too busy learning about criminal prosecution instead." Later that morning, I met Vanessa at our coffee spot. "You finally told them?" she said, studying my face. "How did it go?" "About as well as you'd expect." I showed her the missed calls and texts flooding my phone. "Linda's threatening to tell everyone I'm mentally unstable." "Are you okay?" I considered the question. I thought I'd feel triumphant. Instead, I just feel free. "And what about Jason?" "He has until Friday to make things right. After that..." I shrugged. The law takes its course. My phone buzzed. "Professor Clark, ready to discuss your associate position?" "Yes." I typed back, then looked at Vanessa. "Want to know the funny thing? All those years Linda spent trying to make me a better wife, she actually helped make me a better lawyer. Every manipulation, every lie, it was like a master class in detecting deception." "Karma's a bitch," Vanessa said, raising her coffee cup. "No," I corrected, thinking of Linda's tears and Jason's rage. "I am." Friday morning arrived with a thunderstorm and Bennett Harding on my doorstep. "We need to talk," he said, rainwater dripping from his expensive coat. "About Jason." I let him in, noting how he'd aged since I'd last seen him. Karma hadn't been kind to Linda's wayward husband. "Coffee?" I offered, leading him to the kitchen. "Something stronger." He pulled out a manila envelope. "Linda called me." "Of course she did." I poured 2 fingers of whiskey. "Let me guess. She wants you to fix this?" "Actually," he settled into a chair, "I'm here to help you." That got my attention. "Why?" "Because my son is exactly like me." He took a long sip, and that's not a compliment. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed, Jason's name flashing on the screen. 10th call today. "He's desperate," Bennett commented. "The banks are asking questions about those transfers." "I know." I sat across from him. "Zoe provided copies of everything. Smart girl." He smiled grimly. "Smarter than I was. When I got caught, I ran. Lost everything, including my self-respect." "Is that why you sent me those bank statements?" "Someone had to wake you up." He slid the envelope across the table. "And these should finish the job." Inside were documents I'd been hunting for months. Loan applications with forged signatures, backdated contracts, emails discussing the manipulation of investor funds. "Why are you really helping me?" "Because Jason needs consequences." "Linda," he sighed. "She never let that happen. Made excuses, covered up his mistakes, like she did with mine." My phone buzzed again. Vanessa, this time. "He's at my house, crying. What should I do?" "Send him home," I typed back. "Lucy." Bennett leaned forward. "What's your endgame here?" "Justice." "No." He shook his head. "That's not all. I see it in your eyes. Same look I used to see in the mirror. You want revenge." "Is there a difference?" "Justice is clean. Revenge leaves scars." He stood up. "Just make sure you're ready for them." After he left, I spread the documents across my dining room table, the final pieces of my puzzle, served up by the last person I'd expected to help. The front door opened. Jason, looking wild-eyed and disheveled. "You weren't at work," he said. "I checked." "Because I don't work there anymore." I didn't look up from the papers. "Started my new job at Clark & Associates yesterday. A law firm?" He laughed bitterly. "Of course. Perfect for someone as cold as you've become." Funny how setting boundaries looks like coldness to people used to walking all over you. "Is that what you think I did?" He moved closer. "Everything I did was for us." "Really?" I held up one of Bennett's documents. "Was forging my signature on this loan for us, or just for you?" His face contorted. "Where did you get that?" "Your father stopped by. Seems guilt runs in the family." "Dad?" He grabbed the paper, scanning it frantically. "He's lying. These are fake." "Like the signatures, or like your business with Zoe?" "Leave her out of this." "Why? Because she turned on you, or because she was smart enough to keep records?" He slumped into a chair. "What do you want?" "Everything back in my accounts by midnight. A signed confession about the fraud. And divorce papers." "You'll destroy me." "No, Jason. You did that yourself." I stood up. "I'm just making it official." The door opened again. Linda, because of course she'd come. "Jason? Your father called." She stopped, taking in the scene. "What have you done?" she demanded, glaring at me. "What you should have done years ago." I handed her copies of the documents. "Read these? Then ask yourself who really betrayed whom." "This is blackmail," she whispered. "This is accountability." I checked my watch. "You have until midnight. After that, these go to the SEC." "You were family." Linda's voice broke. "No, I was a convenience, a bank account, a scapegoat for your son's failures." "Please," Jason tried one last time. "We can fix this." "Like you fixed the juice bar, or the crypto scheme, or any of the other disasters I funded." He reached for me. I stepped back. "Don't." My voice was steel. "You have 7 hours. Use them wisely." After they left, I called Professor Clark. "It's done," I told her. "Bennett came through." "Are you ready for what comes next?" she asked. "This won't be pretty." I looked at the wedding photo still hanging on our wall, at my younger, more naive self. "I'm ready for anything," I said, "except being that woman again." My phone lit up with a text from Zoe. "Jason's at the bank. It's happening." I smiled, thinking of Linda's tears, Jason's desperation, and Bennett's warning about scars. Some scars were worth carrying. The conference room at Clark & Associates felt like a stage, and I was about to direct the final act. Professor Clark, now just Daphne, sat beside me, reviewing documents one last time. "They're here," her assistant announced. Jason entered first, followed by Linda and Bennett. Their lawyer, a nervous man named Timothy, brought up the rear. The tension in the room could have powered a small city. "Before we begin," Timothy started, but I cut him off. "No." I placed 3 folders on the table. "You're here to listen." "Now, see here," Linda began. "Mom, please," Jason whispered. He looked terrible, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes. "First folder," I pushed it forward, "contains evidence of financial fraud spanning the last 4 years. Forged signatures, misappropriated funds, fake investor documents." Timothy reached for it, his hand shaking slightly. "Second folder, proof of unauthorized transfers from my personal accounts, including my father's life insurance money." I met Linda's eyes. "Money that was supposed to be for my graduate studies." "Which you pursued anyway," she snapped. Behind everyone's back. Like Jason pursued Zoe behind mine. The room went silent. Bennett shifted uncomfortably. The third folder, I continued, contains my terms, full financial restitution, a signed confession, and uncontested divorce papers. Or what? Jason finally spoke, his voice hoarse. Or folders 1 and 2 go to the SEC, the Banking Commission, and every investor you've scammed. Timothy leaned over to whisper something to Jason, who shook his head violently. You can't do this, Linda pleaded. We're family. Stop. Bennett's voice cracked like a whip. Just stop, Linda. It's over. Bennett. No. He stood up. Our son committed fraud multiple times. You covered for him just like you covered for me. It ends today. Jason's face crumpled. Dad. Sign the papers, son. Take the deal. It's more than I got. Timothy reviewed the documents, whispering urgently to Jason. Linda sat frozen, tears streaming down her face. If I sign... Jason looked at me. What happens? You repay everything. You admit what you did. You let me go. I pulled out a pen. And maybe you avoid prison. Prison? Linda gasped. What did you think fraud meant? Daphne spoke for the first time. Your son stole hundreds of thousands of dollars. I was going to pay it back, Jason protested. With what? I asked quietly. More stolen money? He grabbed the pen, hands trembling. Will this really stay private? As long as you comply completely. I watched him sign. Break the agreement, and everything goes public. Linda lunged across the table, scattering papers. You vindictive bitch! After everything we did for you! Linda! Bennett pulled her back. Enough! Everything you did for me? I stood slowly. You mean like undermining my confidence? Gaslighting me about Jason's affairs? Teaching him that he could take whatever he wanted from me? I was trying to help. You were trying to control, to mold me into your perfect victim of a daughter-in-law. I gathered the signed papers. Well, congratulations. You molded me into something else entirely. A monster, she spat. No. I smiled. A survivor, and a damn good lawyer. The next hour passed in a blur of signatures and legal terms. When it was done, I had everything I'd wanted. My money returned, my freedom guaranteed, my revenge complete. As they prepared to leave, Jason paused at the door. I did love you, he said softly. In the beginning. No. I shook my head. You loved what I could give you. There's a difference. After they left, Daphne poured 2 glasses of whiskey. You okay? Ask me tomorrow. I twisted my wedding ring off, placing it on the conference table. Or maybe next year. You know Linda will never forgive you. Good. I picked up my glass. I'll never forgive her either. My phone buzzed. Vanessa. Is it done? Yes. I typed back. I'm free. Another text followed. Drinks tonight? You look like you could use a friend. I glanced at Daphne, who was already gathering her things. Go, she said. Celebrate, or cry, or both. You've earned it. Later that night, sitting with Vanessa at our favorite bar, I finally felt the weight of everything lift. So, what now? She asked. I thought about the job offer from Daphne's firm, about the apartment I'd secretly leased, about the future stretching out before me, uncertain but entirely mine. Now? I raised my glass. Now I live. To living. She clinked her glass against mine. And to never taking another homemaker course. We laughed, and for the first time in years, the sound held no bitterness. The storm had passed, and I was still standing. The last box from my old life sat on my new apartment floor, still sealed. I'd been avoiding it for days, the one marked photos in Jason's messy handwriting. My doorbell rang. Garrett from the office stood there, holding takeout bags. Daphne mentioned you might need dinner, and maybe some help unpacking. I let him in, grateful for the distraction. Fair warning, there might be emotional baggage in these boxes. Good thing I brought wine, too. We settled on the floor, surrounded by half-empty boxes and Thai food containers. Garrett had been my steady support at the firm since everything exploded, never pushing, just present. So? He nodded toward the unopened photo box. That's the last one? The hardest one. Want company while you open it? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from Zoe. Jason's trying to start another business. Thought you should know? Some things never change, I muttered, showing Garrett the message. You worried? No, not my circus anymore. I reached for the box. Help me with this. Inside were photos spanning 5 years of lies, our wedding, vacations, family gatherings, Linda's perfectly orchestrated moments of fake happiness. You're not smiling in any of these, Garrett observed, holding up a Christmas photo. Not really. I forgot how. I picked up my wedding album. The funny thing is, I thought I was happy then. I thought that's what happiness looked like. Being quiet, being useful, being whatever they needed. And now, I met his eyes. Now I know what real happiness feels like. It feels like winning. My phone rang. Vanessa's ringtone. Turn on the news, she said when I answered. Channel 7. I grabbed the remote. There was Linda, standing outside her church, being interviewed about some charity event. But something was different. She looked diminished. And of course, we're so proud of our daughter-in-law's success, she was saying, her smile brittle. Jason and I always knew she had potential. She's trying to save face, Garrett commented. She's trying to rewrite history. I turned off the TV. Let her. Everyone who matters knows the truth. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Bennett. Sorry to interrupt, he said, eyeing Garrett. I can come back. No, stay. I introduced them. We're exorcising ghosts. Bennett pulled out an envelope. Found these while cleaning out my storage. Thought you might want them. Inside were photos I'd never seen. Me at law school graduation, hidden in the back row. Me leaving the courthouse after passing the bar. Me having coffee with Zoe during our evidence-gathering phase. You were watching me? Someone had to. He smiled sadly. I knew what Jason was, what Linda had turned him into, what they were doing to you. Why didn't you say anything? Would you have believed me? He shook his head. You needed to find your own way out. I just documented it. I studied the photos, proof that someone had seen me, really seen me, during those dark years. Thank you, I whispered. No. Bennett headed for the door. Thank you for doing what I couldn't, holding them accountable. After he left, Garrett helped me sort through the remaining photos. We made 2 piles, one for keeping, one for burning. What about this one? He held up a picture of me and Linda at my bridal shower. Burn pile. Actually, I took it from him. I'll keep it, as a reminder. Of what? that sometimes the prettiest smiles hide the ugliest truths. My phone buzzed again. Daphne this time. Major case tomorrow. You ready? Born ready, I replied. Garrett watched me texting. You know, I've never seen you happier than when you're working on a case. That's because it's real. Everything before was just performance. We finished sorting the photos, and I closed the box for the last time. Outside, the city lights twinkled like promises. Want to get coffee sometime? Garrett asked suddenly. Not as colleagues, as something else? I thought about Linda's fake smiles, about Jason's empty promises, about all the years I spent performing happiness instead of feeling it. Yes, I said. But first, help me take out the trash. We carried the burn pile to my building's incinerator. As the flames consumed my old life, I felt lighter with each photo that disappeared. To new beginnings? Garrett offered. 2 real ones, I corrected. Later that night, alone in my new home, I hung Bennett's graduation photo on my wall. My first genuine smile in years captured on film. Below it, I placed Linda's homemaker course brochure in a frame. A reminder that sometimes the best revenge isn't just living well, it's living truthfully. And I was finally, gloriously, free to do both.
I stood in front of the floor-length mirror, adjusting my emerald cocktail dress, while my mother's words from this morning echoed in my head. Try not to embarrass your sister at her engagement party, Juliet. For once. My name is Juliet Hunt, and I've spent 28 years being reminded that I'm the family disappointment, the black sheep, the daughter who dared to chase a career instead of a husband. Jules! Mia burst into my bedroom, already dressed in a sleek black number. You're not going to believe what I just overheard downstairs. I turned to face my best friend, recognizing the look that meant drama was brewing. What now? Your mother's practically bouncing off the walls, telling everyone how she has this wonderful surprise planned for Selena during the toast. Mia's eyes narrowed. Something about securing her future. My stomach clenched. Of course she does. I grabbed my clutch, checking one last time that the folded documents were safely inside. Did you see if Gage arrived yet? Your lawyer? He's already there, looking sharp in a gray suit. But Jules, why did you invite him? You know your mom hates when you bring outsiders to family events. I smiled, a cold little thing that didn't reach my eyes. Let's just say I have a surprise of my own planned. The drive to the country club was tense. Through the windshield, I watched storm clouds gathering on the horizon, fitting weather for what was about to unfold. Inside, the ballroom sparkled with crystal chandeliers and white roses, my sister Selena's favorite. She stood in the center of an adoring crowd, radiant in white, her new engagement ring catching the light. Our mother Eva hovered nearby, beaming with pride. Juliet? My father's voice made me turn. You came. Did you think I wouldn't? He shifted uncomfortably. Your mother was concerned. That I'd ruin precious Selena's big day? I kept my voice low. Don't worry, Dad. I'm just here to witness everything. His eyes flickered to the documents in my clutch. But before he could speak, my sister's voice rang out. Julie, you actually showed up. Selena air-kissed my cheek, her smile razor-sharp. And you're wearing green. How brave of you. You know it washes you out completely, right? I spotted Gage across the room, giving me a subtle nod. You look beautiful, Selena. Congratulations. Thanks. Lincoln and I are just so blessed. She grabbed her fiancé's arm possessively. Aren't we, darling? Lincoln smiled tightly. Absolutely. His eyes met mine for a moment too long, and I caught something there. Uncertainty? Fear? The next hour was a blur of fake smiles and pointed comments. Aunt Jolie cornered me by the bar. "Still single, dear? You know my friend's son is a doctor." "Cousin Caden." "Heard your startup's struggling. Should have stuck with a nice, safe corporate job." I kept my responses minimal and my glass full, watching my mother work the room. She was practically glowing, stopping to whisper with various guests, building anticipation for whatever announcement she had planned. Finally, she clinked her glass for attention. "Everyone, please gather round. I have wonderful news to share about our beloved Selena's future." The crowd hushed. Gage moved closer to my position near the back. "As you know, my father, Selena and Juliet's grandfather, left a substantial trust fund for his grandchildren." Eva's voice carried clearly. "He always believed in investing in the future of those who honor family traditions." My fingers tightened around my clutch. "Today, I'm overjoyed to announce that we'll be using these funds to purchase Selena and Lincoln their dream home. The perfect start for the perfect couple." Applause erupted. Selena squealed in delight, while Lincoln's face remained carefully neutral. "Of course," my mother continued, her eyes finding mine in the crowd. "This means adjusting the original distribution. But I'm sure Juliet understands that her sister's needs must come first. After all, Selena has chosen to build a proper family, while some of us—" She let the implication hang. The room grew uncomfortably quiet. I felt dozens of eyes on me, waiting for my reaction. Some pitying, others smirking. Mia squeezed my arm in support, but I was already reaching for the documents in my clutch. My hands didn't shake at all. "Actually, Mother," I said, my voice carrying across the sudden silence, "I think it's time we discuss the real terms of Grandfather's trust." I nodded to Gage, who stepped forward with his own folder, and I brought someone to help explain them properly. The color drained from my mother's face as Gage approached the center of the room. She knew in that moment that her perfect plan was about to shatter, and I was going to enjoy every second of it. Ava recovered quickly, her society smile snapping back into place. "Darling, this isn't the time or place for your dramatics. We can discuss any concerns you have privately." "Oh, but you made this public, Mother." I gestured to the gathered crowd. "You chose to announce your plans for my trust fund in front of everyone. So let's continue with full transparency, shall we?" Selena stepped forward, her white dress rustling. "Julie, you're embarrassing yourself. Just stop." "Actually," Gage spoke up, his professional tone cutting through the tension, "I believe Ms. Hunt has every right to address this matter, given the circumstances." "And who exactly are you?" Ava's voice dripped with disdain. "Gage Perry, legal counsel." He opened his folder. "I'm here to clarify the terms of Howard Hunt's trust fund, established in 2010 for his granddaughter, Juliet." My father finally broke his silence. "We don't need lawyers at an engagement party." "Apparently we do," I countered, "since you're all so confused about who controls grandfather's money." Ava's laugh was sharp. "There's nothing confusing about it. As executor—" "You were never the executor," I cut in. "Grandfather named me as sole beneficiary and controller of the trust upon meeting specific conditions. Which I did, 6 months ago." The room erupted in whispers. I saw Aunt Jolie's hand fly to her throat, while Cousin Caden stopped mid-drink. "That's impossible," Selena snapped. "Grandfather would never—" Fourth paragraph, page 2. Gage held up the document. "The beneficiary gains full control upon either completing a master's degree in business or successfully running a profitable company for 2 years. Juliet has done both." Lincoln stepped away from Selena, his expression unreadable. "Smart man." "Those documents could be forged," Eva said desperately. "We'll need our own lawyers to verify." "By all means," Gage replied smoothly. "Though the trust administrators at First National have already authenticated everything. They're expecting your call, actually." The whispers grew louder. I caught fragments. "Eva said she had authority. Been planning that house purchase for months." What else hasn't she told us? Mother, I said, keeping my voice steady. Did you already make promises about this money? Perhaps to a real estate agent? Or put down deposits? Eva's face went from red to white. Bingo. You didn't, my father breathed. Eva, tell me you didn't commit funds you don't control. The silence was damning. Selena's perfect composure cracked. But you said everything was arranged. The house, the renovations. It was supposed to be your wedding present, Eva said weakly. Juliet was never going to use the money properly anyway. She wastes everything on that ridiculous business of hers. My profitable business, I corrected. The one that helped me meet grandfather's conditions. The one you called a hobby and refused to support. Mia appeared at my side with a fresh drink. I took it gratefully, watching my mother's carefully constructed plan collapse. This is spiteful, Selena hissed. You're just jealous because Lincoln chose me instead of you. The room got very quiet. Lincoln choked on his champagne. I couldn't help but laugh. Is that what she told you, Selena? That I wanted Lincoln? I turned to her fiancé. No offense, but you were never my type. Though I do wonder if you knew about their little financial scheme. Lincoln raised his hands. I was told the house was a gift from family funds. That's all. It was going to be, Eva insisted. Juliet, please. We can work something out. A loan, perhaps? No. The word rang with finality. You don't get to take what's mine anymore. Not my money, not my dignity, not my reputation. I turned to address the stunned guests. For years, they've painted me as the family failure, the rebellious daughter who couldn't meet expectations. Well, guess what? I met every single condition grandfather set. I built something of my own, and I did it while they were making plans to steal my inheritance. We weren't stealing, Selena protested, but her voice was small. Really? I pulled out another document. Then explain this loan application with my forged signature. The one you submitted last month. Ava swayed on her feet. My father had to grab her arm to steady her. Gage has copies of everything, I continued. The fraudulent applications, the correspondence with realtors, the contracts drawn up in my name without my knowledge. Would you like him to share those too? That's enough, my father said hoarsely. No, Dad. For once in my life, it's not enough. I raised my glass. To the happy couple. I wish you luck finding a house you can actually afford. I drained my drink and turned to leave, but not before catching Aunt Jolie's whispered words to her neighbor. Eva always said Juliet was the problem child. Looks like she was wrong about that too. Juliet, wait! My father's voice followed me into the hallway. I kept walking, Mia and Gage flanking me like bodyguards. Let her go, Tobias, Eva called out. She's made her choice. I spun around. My choice? You tried to steal millions from me, and I'm the one making bad choices? The party guests were spilling into the hallway now, drawn to the unfolding drama like moths to flame. Eva must have noticed, because she lowered her voice to a harsh whisper. We should discuss this privately. Why? Scared what else might come out? I pulled another document from my clutch. Like the fact that this isn't the first time you've helped yourself to money that isn't yours? Eva lunged for the paper, but Gage stepped between us. I wouldn't, he warned. Attempting to destroy evidence won't help your situation. Evidence of what? My father asked. Dad, remember Aunt Sarah's inheritance? The one that mysteriously got tied up in probate for 3 years? His face went slack. Eva. It was a loan, she said quickly. I paid it back. After she threatened legal action, I added. Funny how that keeps happening. Selena pushed through the crowd, Lincoln trailing behind her. You're lying. Mom would never... Ask her about Cousin Robert's college fund, I interrupted. Or Uncle David's retirement account. It's amazing how many family members trusted you to handle their finances, Mother. The whispers grew louder. I saw recognition dawn on several faces. other victims of Eva's financial manipulations putting the pieces together. I did what I had to do for this family. Eva's composure finally cracked. To maintain our position, our reputation. You mean your reputation, I corrected. Your social standing, your perfect image. Everything I did was for Selena's future. The words hung in the air. I watched my sister's face crumple as she realized what our mother had just admitted. Only Selena's future? My father asked quietly. What about Juliet? Eva waved dismissively. Juliet chose to abandon family values. She rejected everything we stand for. I rejected your control, I said. There's a difference. You ungrateful little... Eva started forward again, but this time it was Lincoln who caught her arm. That's enough, Eva. His voice was firm. You're only making things worse. Selena stared at her fiancé. Lincoln? I'm sorry, but this has to stop. He turned to me. How long have you known about all this? A few months. After I discovered the forged loan applications, I had Gage investigate everything. Turns out Mother's been playing financial shell games for years. They weren't games, Eva protested. I was investing in our family's future. By committing fraud? Gage asked mildly. That's an interesting investment strategy. Aunt Jolie stepped forward. Eva, is this why you insisted on managing my divorce settlement? The blood drained from my mother's face. I think, Gage said smoothly, several people here might want to review their financial records. My office would be happy to assist. You planned this, Selena accused me. You deliberately waited until my engagement party to humiliate us. No, sister dear. Mother did that when she decided to announce stealing my trust fund in front of everyone. I smiled coldly. I just decided to tell the truth. The truth? Eva laughed hysterically. The truth is, you've always been jealous of Selena, always trying to overshadow her special moments. Special moments like when you used my college fund for her Sweet 16 party? Or when you convinced grandfather I was too irresponsible to handle my inheritance. I stepped closer. I've got copies of those letters too, Mother. The ones where you painted me as an unstable disappointment while begging him to give you control of the trust. For once, Eva had no response. My father's voice was heavy. How much, Eva? How much have you taken from others? Tobias, I can explain. How much? The silence stretched. Finally, Gage spoke. Based on our investigation, approximately $2.3 million over the past decade. The gasps were audible. Someone dropped a glass. Don't worry, I announced to the shocked crowd. Anyone who's been affected will be receiving detailed documentation from Gage's office. I'm sure the police will be interested too. The police? Selena squeaked. Fraud is a crime, sis. So is forgery. I turned to leave again, then paused. Oh, and Mother? Don't bother trying to access any accounts tonight. They've all been frozen pending investigation. As I walked away, I heard the chaos erupting behind me. Accusations, crying, demands for explanations. But it was Lincoln's voice that carried clearest. Selena, we need to talk about this wedding. Perfect timing. Because there was still so much more they didn't know about the happy couple. The morning after the engagement party, I sat in Gage's office reviewing bank statements while my phone buzzed constantly with family drama. Your mother's been busy, Gage said, sliding another document across his desk. Look at these transfers. I studied the paper. All going to an account in Selena's name? Not exactly. He tapped the routing number. It's registered to a shell company. Guess who's the silent partner? Before I could answer, my phone lit up with Lincoln's name. I showed it to Gage. Take it, he said. Could be interesting. I answered on speaker. This is unexpected. Juliet. Lincoln's voice was tense. We need to meet. Privately. Why would I want to do that? Because I have information you might find useful about Eva and Selena's other activities. I caught Gage's raised eyebrow. When and where? The coffee shop on 5th. 1 hour? Make it the restaurant at the Marriott, I countered. More witnesses, less chance of drama. He agreed and hung up. Gage leaned back in his chair. Want me there? No, but have Mia grab a table nearby, just in case. An hour later, I watched Lincoln fidget with his water glass across the table. He looked like he hadn't slept. Talk, I said. First, I need to know something. He glanced around before continuing. How much do you already know about the real estate deals? Which ones? The fraudulent loan applications or the property flip schemes? He winced. Both. But mainly the flips. Did you know Eva's been using insider information from her position on the city council? Now that was interesting. Tell me more. She's been tipping Selena off about upcoming development projects. They buy properties cheap, wait for the announcements, then sell at massive profits. He ran a hand through his hair. That's how they could afford that house they promised to buy us. It wasn't just your trust fund they were counting on. And you're just now developing a conscience about this? I didn't know at first, he protested. Selena said her mom was just good at predicting market trends. Then I found documents. He pulled out his phone, showing me photos of paperwork. Forward those to me. Already sent them to your lawyer. Look, Juliet, there's more. The shell company you found? It's not just Eva and Selena. There are other council members involved. I sat back. You're talking about a corruption scandal. I'm talking about saving myself, he corrected. I'm on some of those documents as a potential buyer. If this comes out... When? I interrupted. When this comes out. He paled. I'm cooperating. That has to count for something. We'll see. I studied him. Why tell me this now? Why not earlier? Because until yesterday, I thought Selena was the victim of her mother's schemes too. But the way she reacted when everything came out... He shook his head. She knew. She's been actively involved from the start. My phone buzzed with a text from Mia. Eva just walked into the lobby. Time to go, I told Lincoln. Send everything you have to Gage. And Lincoln, if you're lying about any of this... I'm not, I swear. He stood quickly. One more thing. Check into property purchases around the old factory district. That's their next target. I left through the kitchen just as Eva entered the restaurant. Through the window, I watched her confront Lincoln, her face twisted with rage. Back at Gage's office, Mia was waiting with fresh intel. You'll never guess what I found, she said, pulling up emails on her laptop. Remember that charity gala Selena chaired last year? The one she got all those awards for? Yeah, well, seems like most of the donations never made it to actual charities. Mia grinned. Your sister's been playing benefactor with other people's money. Add it to the pile, Gage said, scanning Lincoln's documents. This is getting bigger than family fraud. We're looking at potential RICO charges. My phone buzzed again. Selena this time. I read her message aloud. We need to talk. I know what you're doing. Don't make me fight back. She sounds scared, Mia observed. She should be. I started typing a response. Tell her I'll meet tomorrow. Same restaurant. Are you sure? Gage asked. She's cornered. That makes her dangerous. So am I. I showed them the final document I'd been saving. And I haven't even played my trump card yet. Mia grabbed the paper, her eyes widening. Holy shit! Is this for real? Completely. And tomorrow, Selena's going to learn exactly what it feels like when your whole world falls apart. I took the document back, running my finger over the damning evidence of my sister's biggest betrayal yet. Sometimes revenge is best served one devastating piece at a time. Selena was already waiting when I arrived at the restaurant, her designer handbag placed strategically on the table like a shield. Her perfect makeup couldn't quite hide her sleepless night. You're late, she snapped as I sat down. Actually, I'm right on time. You're early. Nervous? She ignored the jab. I want you to stop this investigation. Now. Or what? Or I'll tell everyone about your breakdown in college. How you were hospitalized. For exhaustion, I cut in. After working 3 jobs because mother drained my tuition fund. Try again. Selena's fingers tightened around her water glass. You're destroying our family. No, you and mother did that. I'm just exposing it. I pulled out the document I'd been saving. Speaking of exposure, what's that? Proof that you've been sleeping with Marcus Reynolds. You know, the city council member who's been helping you and mother with those lucrative property deals? The color drained from her face. You're lying. Hotel receipts, photos, texts. I laid them out one by one. Does Lincoln know you were already engaged when he proposed? That's private. So is my trust fund. Funny how that works. I leaned forward. Tell me something, Selena. Was the affair just for fun? Or was it part of Mother's plan too? You don't understand anything, she hissed. Marcus has influence, connections. Mother said, that sleeping your way to insider information was acceptable? That betraying Lincoln was worth it for profit? Lincoln's a means to an end. Mother found him, vetted his family's connections. It was all arranged. I sat back, genuinely surprised. Does he know that? Of course not. He thinks we had some romantic meeting at a charity gala. She smiled bitterly. Mother orchestrated everything, like she always does. And you just went along with it? Why shouldn't I? You got everything else. Grandfather's love, his trust fund, his faith in your precious business abilities. Her voice cracked. I got Mother's plans and expectations, her schemes, her constant pressure to be perfect. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. You had choices, Selena. You chose to forge documents, to steal from charities, to cheat on your fiancé while helping Mother defraud our entire family. I didn't save it. I gathered the evidence back into my folder. You know what the difference is between us? I fought back. You became her accomplice. Please, she whispered, don't show those photos to Lincoln. That depends on you. What do you want? A full confession. Everything you and Mother have done. Every scheme. Every victim. Written and signed. She paled further. I can't. She'd never forgive me. She's going down anyway. The only question is whether you go down with her. You're bluffing. You don't have enough proof. My phone buzzed. I checked the message and smiled. Actually, Marcus Reynolds just finished talking to investigators. Seems he's eager to make a deal. Selena's handbag crashed to the floor, spilling its contents. As she scrambled to collect them, a familiar document caught my eye. What's that? I snatched the paper before she could grab it. Is this a copy of Grandfather's original will? Give it back! She lunged across the table, but I was already reading. Holy shit! I looked up at her panicked face. The trust fund was never meant for me at all, was it? It was supposed to be split equally between us. Mother said you'd waste it, she said weakly. She convinced Grandfather to change it, to make you prove yourself first. While you got your half free and clear, I scanned the document dates. Except you didn't, did you? Mother kept that money too. Used it for her schemes. Tears smeared Selena's mascara. She said she was investing it for me. In property scams and insider trading? Wake up, Selena. She played us both. My phone buzzed again. Mia this time. Ava just pulled up outside. Perfect timing, I said, standing. Here comes Mother now. Let's see what she says about this will. No. Selena grabbed my arm. Please, I'll tell you everything. Just not with her here. I studied my sister, really looked at her, and saw something I'd never noticed before. Fear. Not of me, but of Eva. Fine. We do this at Gage's office. Now. As we slipped out the back, I caught a glimpse of Eva storming into the restaurant. For the first time, I wondered if Selena and I had more in common than I'd thought. But first, She had a confession to make. And Mother had a reckoning coming that would shake our family to its core. "Start from the beginning," Gage said, recording device ready as Selena sat in his office. "When did Eva first involve you in her financial schemes?" "I was 19. Selena's voice shook. "Mother said she needed my signature on some papers. Just routine family business, she claimed." "The first property deal?" "No, that came later. This was, she needed access to grandfather's accounts. Said he was getting forgetful. Needed help managing things." I leaned forward. "Was he really?" "No." Selena wouldn't meet my eyes. "He was sharp until the end. But Mother said, if we didn't take control, you'd get everything." The office door burst open. Eva stood there, face contorted with rage. "Selena, stop talking immediately." "How did you—" I started. "Find you?" Eva sneered. "I had your phone tracked months ago. Did you really think I wouldn't take precautions?" Gage stood. "This is a private meeting. Leave, or I'll call security. My daughter isn't saying another word without legal representation." "I already told them everything, Mother." Selena's voice was small but steady. "About Marcus, the property deals, grandfather's accounts, everything." Eva moved so fast I barely saw it. Her hand cracked across Selena's face, leaving an angry red mark. Gage grabbed Eva's arm before she could strike again. "That's assault. One more move, and I'm calling the police." "You ungrateful little snake," Eva hissed at Selena. "After everything I've done for you." "Done for me?" Selena touched her cheek. "You used me. My whole life, you've used me against Juliet, against grandfather, against everyone. I made you perfect. You made me your puppet." Selena stood, shaking. "Even Lincoln was just another one of your schemes. Did you think I wouldn't figure out you paid him to pursue me?" That was news to me. "What?" "Oh yes," Selena laughed bitterly. "Mother arranged everything. Found out Lincoln needed money for his startup, offered him an investment if he'd date her perfect daughter. Isn't that right, Mother?" Eva's silence was damning. "But here's the best part," Selena continued, gaining strength. "Lincoln fell for Juliet first, at that charity gala. Mother had to double her offer to get him to choose me instead." The room spun slightly. I remembered that gala, how Lincoln had talked to me all evening until Eva suddenly whisked him away. "That's why you pushed them together so hard," I said to Eva. "Why you kept throwing them at each other. It wasn't about Selena's happiness at all." "It was about control," Selena said. "Like always." Eva straightened her designer jacket. "Everything I did was to secure our family's position, our legacy." "By committing fraud?" Gage held up a stack of documents. "By stealing from your own children?" "I borrowed what was necessary." "You stole my inheritance," I interrupted. "You manipulated grandfather into changing his will, then stole Selena's half too. And now," Gage added, "we have proof of insider trading, charity fraud, and multiple counts of forgery. Want to try explaining that?" Eva's mask finally cracked. "You have no idea what it takes to maintain our status. The constant competition, the social obligations, the expectations, the criminal behavior," I suggested. "Don't you dare judge me. I protected this family. I gave you both everything." "You gave us trauma," Selena said quietly. "Manipulation. Lies." She turned to me. "I'm sorry, Juliet. For everything." Eva lunged for the recording device, but Gage was faster. In the scuffle, her purse spilled, and dozens of USB drives scattered across the floor. "What are these?" I picked one up. "Don't!" Ava's panic was instant. I handed the drive to Gage, who plugged it into his computer. His eyebrows shot up. "More evidence of fraud?" I asked. "Better." He turned the screen. "Blackmail material. Eva's been collecting dirt on everyone in her social circle. Looks like we just found her insurance policy." Eva sagged into a chair, finally defeated. "Call Dad," I told Selena. "He needs to hear all of this." She nodded, hands trembling as she dialed. "It's over, Mother," I said. "The police are already investigating the property deals. Marcus Reynolds is talking. And now we have proof of everything else." "You're going to destroy our family name," she whispered. "No. You did that yourself. We're just exposing the truth." As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a news alert. City council member implicated in property fraud scheme. Multiple arrests expected. I showed it to Eva. "Looks like your perfect plan is falling apart." She stared at the screen, then at her daughters, the two women she'd tried so hard to control, now united against her. And finally, Eva Hunt began to cry. The family gathered in our father's study 3 days later. The room felt smaller than I remembered, crowded with tension and unspoken accusations. Eva sat rigidly in an armchair, her designer outfit unable to hide her dishevelment. Dad stood by the window, looking older than his years. "The police have everything," Gage announced to the assembled group. "The property fraud evidence, the charity embezzlement records, the forged documents. They'll be making arrests soon." "Arrests?" Dad's voice cracked. "Ava, what have you done?" "What I had to," she replied mechanically, "to maintain our position." Aunt Jolie stepped forward. "Our position? You stole my divorce settlement. I had to remortgage my house because of you." "I was going to pay it back," Eva insisted. "Once the property deals—" "Stop lying," Selena cut in. She'd been staying with me since her confession, slowly emerging from Eva's influence. "Just tell the truth for once." Ava's face hardened. The truth is, I made this family what it is. I secured our social standing, our connections." "Through blackmail," I added, holding up one of the USB drives. "Should we show everyone what's on these?" "Don't you dare." "Why not? Isn't this your life's work? All the secrets you collected, the dirt you gathered on your so-called friends?" Lincoln, who'd insisted on being present, spoke up. "Does that drive include the real reason you approached me about Selena?" Ava flinched. "Because I'd like everyone to hear how you offered to fund my startup if I broke things off with Juliet and dated Selena instead." The room erupted in gasps and murmurs. Dad turned from the window, face ashen. "You did what?" "It was for the best," Eva said desperately. "Lincoln's family has connections we needed. Juliet would have ruined the opportunity with her independence." "My independence?" I laughed. "You mean my refusal to be your puppet?" "You never understood the importance of appearances. But Selena did. She was perfect. I was terrified," Selena shouted, surprising everyone. "Every day, wondering if I'd disappoint you, if I'd make some mistake that would ruin your precious plans. Do you know what that's like?" Eva recoiled as if slapped. "And now," Gage continued smoothly, "those plans have backfired spectacularly. The DA is particularly interested in the insider trading charges." "How many years in prison are we talking about?" Aunt Jolie asked. "Given the scope of the fraud, potentially 15 to 20. Eva swayed in her seat. No, I can fix this. I have information on people. Leverage. Your blackmail material has been turned over to the authorities," I said. "Though I'm sure your society friends will be thrilled to learn how you've been collecting their secrets." "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" Eva spat. "Destroying everything I built?" "Built?" Dad's voice thundered suddenly. "You built nothing but lies. You stole from our family, manipulated our daughters, corrupted everything you touched." He turned to Gage. "What do we do now?" "Eva has 2 choices," Gage replied. "She can cooperate, plead guilty, and possibly receive a reduced sentence. Or she can fight it and face maximum penalties. And risk exposing her precious social circle in a public trial." I smiled coldly. "We know which she'll choose." The doorbell rang. Through the study window, I saw police cars in the driveway. "Right on schedule," Gage said. Eva stood shakily. "Tobias, please, don't let them take me." But Dad turned away, shoulders slumped. "I don't know you anymore, Eva. Maybe I never did." Officers entered the study, reading Eva her rights, As they led her away, she tried one last time. "Selena, darling, tell them this is a mistake." Selena moved to stand beside me. "Goodbye, Mother." We watched in silence as Eva Hunt, social queen and master manipulator, was escorted to a waiting police car. "What happens now?" Lincoln asked quietly. "Now," I said, "we start fixing what she broke, beginning with returning everything she stole." "And us?" Selena looked at me uncertainly. "Can we fix that too?" I studied my sister, really looked at her, and saw not the golden child who tormented me, but another victim of Eva's manipulation. "We can try," I said finally, "but no more lies, no more schemes." She nodded, tears spilling. "I'd like that." Dad cleared his throat. "Your grandfather, he'd be proud of you both, for finding the truth, for standing up to her." "Together," I added, surprising myself by taking Selena's hand. As the police cars drove away, I felt something shift in the room, like a heavy curtain finally lifting, letting in light. Eva's perfect facade had shattered, but maybe something real could grow in its place. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. Sometimes it's about breaking free of their control and rebuilding what they tried to break. The morning of Eva's sentencing, I found Selena in grandfather's old study, staring at his portrait above the fireplace. "Ready?" I asked. "Not really." She smoothed her skirt. "Did you read the victim impact statements?" "Most of them. Aunt Jolie's was particularly powerful." "I wrote one too." Selena turned to face me. "About what it was like growing up as her perfect puppet. The court psychologist said it might help other people recognize signs of manipulation in their own families." Pride, an unfamiliar feeling toward my sister, swelled in my chest. "That's really brave. I learned it from you." She managed a small smile. "Though I still can't believe Lincoln's statement. The details about how Mother orchestrated our whole relationship. Are you okay? About him, I mean?" "Surprisingly, yes. It's like waking up from a long nightmare. Everything looks different now." Dad appeared in the doorway, straightening his tie. "Girls, it's time." The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters. Eva's scandal had rocked the city's social circles, exposing corruption that went far beyond our family. Marcus Reynolds had already pleaded guilty, along with 3 other council members. Inside, we found Mia and Gage saving seats in the front row. Eva sat at the defendant's table, her designer outfit replaced by simple business wear. She didn't turn around. The judge's voice filled the courtroom. "Eva Hunt, you stand convicted of multiple counts of fraud, embezzlement, and financial exploitation. Before sentencing, would you like to address the court?" Eva stood slowly. "Your Honor, I've had time to reflect on my actions. I realize now that I lost sight of what truly matters. My pursuit of social status and financial gain corrupted my relationship with my family, especially my daughters." I felt Selena tense beside me. "I apologize to those I've hurt," Eva continued, "particularly my daughters, Juliet and Selena. I thought I was protecting our family's legacy, but instead, I nearly destroyed it." The judge nodded. "While I appreciate your statement, the severity and duration of your crimes cannot be overlooked. This court sentences you to 18 years in federal prison, with possibility of parole after 12 years. Additionally, you are ordered to make full restitution to your victims." The gavel struck. Eva's shoulders slumped. As officers approached to take her away, she finally turned to look at us. For a moment, I saw past the manipulation and schemes to something raw and broken. A woman who'd sacrificed everything real for the illusion of perfection. Outside, reporters shouted questions, but Gage shepherded us through the crowd to waiting cars. Back at the house, Dad opened grandfather's special scotch. "A toast," he said, "to truth, and to healing, and to grandfather," I added. Who knew exactly what he was doing with that trust fund? Selena looked up. "What do you mean?" Think about it. He made my access conditional on proving I could succeed independently. He knew Mother would try to control the money, so he made sure I'd be strong enough to fight back when the time came. He protected you, Selena whispered, while I got the easy inheritance and fell right into Mother's trap. Maybe he knew you'd need Juliet to help free you, Mia suggested. The doorbell rang. Dad returned moments later with a courier package. It's from Howard's old law firm, he said, reading the letter inside. Apparently he left instructions for this to be delivered after Eva was sentenced. Inside was a second envelope, marked, "For my granddaughters." With trembling hands, I opened it and read aloud. My dearest girls, if you're reading this, the truth has finally come out. Eva's manipulation was apparent to me long ago, but directly opposing her would only have driven you both further under her control. Instead, I chose to give you different tools. Juliet, the challenge to become strong independently, and Selena, the freedom to make mistakes and learn from them. I'm sorry for the pain this caused, but I believe in you both. Together, you have the strength to rebuild something better than Eva's false perfection. The enclosed key is to a safety deposit box containing documents about your grandmother, Eva's mother. Perhaps understanding where Eva's obsession with social status came from will help you avoid repeating history. Love always, grandfather. Selena wiped tears away. He knew. All along, he knew. And he trusted us to figure it out, I said. To break free. Together, she added, echoing my words from before. I looked around the study, at Dad finally standing tall, at Mia and Gage, who'd helped expose the truth, at my sister emerging from Eva's shadow. The weight of revenge had lifted, replaced by something lighter. Hope. Together, I agreed, raising my glass. To writing our own story from now on.